Alleged coke addict Donald Trump Jr. is having a bit of a meltdown over the release of WNBA player Brittney Griner from the Russian prison that she was being held in. Earlier on Thursday, the Biden administration, under pressure, of course, from Griner's family, human rights groups, activists, announced that they were able to negotiate Griner's release. Now, of course, that was in exchange for an arms dealer named Victor Bout. I want to show you a couple of videos here of Biden's announcement. Here's the first part.
Moments ago, standing together with her wife Sherelle in the Oval Office, I spoke with Brittney Griner. She's safe. She's on a plane. She's on her way home. After months of being unjustly detained in Russia, held under intolerable circumstances, Brittney will soon be back in the arms of her loved ones, and she should have been there all along. This is a day we've worked toward for a long time. We never stopped pushing for her release. It took painstaking and intense negotiations, and I want to thank all the hard-working public servants across my administration who worked tirelessly to secure her release. I also want to thank the UAE for helping us facilitate Brittney's return, because that's where she landed. These past few months have been hell for Brittney and for Charlie and her entire family and all her teammates back home. People all across the country have learned about Brittney's story, advocated for her release, stood with her throughout this terrible ordeal. And I know that support meant a lot to her family. I'm glad to be able to say that Brittney's in good spirits. She's relieved to finally be heading home. And the fact remains that she's lost months of her life, experienced a needless trauma, and she deserves space, privacy, and time with her loved ones to recover and heal from her time being wrongfully detained.
All right, so now Biden went on to say that she had wrote Biden back in July and didn't ask for special treatment, and had requested that he just simply not forget about her or the other American detainees. Now, that's important. The context here is, don't forget about me or any of the other American detainees. And she said, please do all you can to bring us home. That said, here's how Don Jr. responded to this. No one cuts better deals than Biden. We get an awful America-hating WNBA player, while Russia gets an international arms dealer. The adults are back. He then added, you guys know how to make sure Russian President Vladimir Putin keeps arresting Americans and severely punishing them? Trade him an arms dealer, aka the Merchant of Death. Someone guilty of conspiring to kill Americans and aiding a terrorist organization for an American-hating WNBA activist. Great trade! Our government's weakness and stupidity will only encourage the abuse of American citizens abroad. So, of course, let me just, address the America-hating WNBA activist. No, she's not a WNBA activist. She's a player. She's an amazing athlete. And by the way, she is a two-time gold medalist for the, wait for it, United States of America. She was on Team America, representing our country. Don Jr. is a bitch. Straight up bitch. So, that said, let's address the whole arms dealer thing. So now, Victor Bout, no doubt he was a dangerous man. Again, you don't get to be known as the Merchant of Death without being kind of dangerous. Maybe just a little bit, But honestly, people like Bout don't have anything on the biggest arms dealer in the world. Want to know who that is? The United States. We are literally number one. We're number one. We're number one. Arms dealer. Biggest arms dealer in the world. I mean, Victor, not even competition whatsoever. Seriously. But that's just Don Jr. And it's not just him, though, that is having an incredibly normal one over this person, this American citizen, who was released from horrible conditions and could come back home. In fact, a lot of right-wing pundits have weighed in and are basically doing two different takes. Both of them are equally garbage. So let me go first here to Laverne Spicer, who basically argues that Brittney Griner should not be allowed to have free speech. Brittney Griner better stand at attention with her hand over her heart every time she hears that anthem now. Meaning, of course, the national anthem. If she kneels ever again, she should be sent right back to Russia. Very, very free speech. In fact, nothing says free speech or freedom than forced patriotism. They love freedom, don't they? They love it. Now, here's Tommy Lahren, who said this. I wonder if Brittney Griner will sing and stand for the national anthem, not that the United States has compromised national security to free her. How do you compromise national security? By giving up a, basically at this point, retired arms dealer? Remember, in the United States, #1 arms dealer in the world. Just saying. Now, those are, it's an example of, hey, I can't believe this person would kneel for the national anthem. Oh, what a terrible person she is. Oh, my God. The other take is, but what about Paul Whelan? Here's Adam Kinzinger. Oh, if you think Adam Kinzinger is above reproach because of what, he did on the select committee for January 6th, you are wrong. Because Adam Kinzinger, just like Liz Cheney, still a Republican, still has some pretty shitty takes, like this one. What about retired Marine who has been unjustly detained for years? Paul Whelan, surely an arms dealer is worth 2 innocent people? And it's at Biden, of course. But worst of the worst, Benny Johnson. Ah, yes. Benny Johnson, who says, meet Brittney Griner and Marine Paul Whelan. Both Americans. Oh, that's okay. True. Both were convicted in Russian courts on dubious charges. Oh, wow, Benny. Yes, you're 2 for 2. Both serving multi-year sentences in Russian prison. 3 for 3. Oh, good. Wait. Here's where it goes off the rails. Brittney hates America. Paul served America. Guess which one Biden traded a terrorist to free. So basically, and there's a ton like that. But they're invoking Paul Whelan and saying, of course, Biden, Biden, he chose to bring home a black queer American hater who loves drugs, as opposed to an American Marine and a hero. As usual, the right wing fails to do the most basic and cursory research. Now, what I'm about to show you is just a headline from Business Insider. Some points about Paul Whelan. And again, this doesn't have anything to do with whether or not he should be brought home, because he should absolutely be brought home. Still, former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan is a citizen of at least 4 different countries and is currently being held in Russia in espionage charges. Again, I think those are BS charges. He was discharged from the Marine Corps for bad conduct. Whelan's bad conduct including attempting to steal over $10,000 from the U.S. government, as well as writing bad checks for $6,000 and stealing Social Security from someone else in order to engage in unlawful activities, according to the Washington Post. Yes. Again, they failed to do the very just minimal amount of fact-checking before they start lionizing a person who has done crime in the United States and should, again, have to come back to the United States and face justice for said crimes. And by the way, you know who agrees that we should bring Paul Whelan home? Well, it's none other than President Joe Biden.
We've not forgotten about Paul Whelan, who's been unjustly detained in Russia for years. This was not a choice of which American to bring home. We brought home Trevor Reed when we had a chance earlier this year. Sadly, for totally illegitimate reasons, Russia is treating Paul's case differently than Brittney's. And while we have not yet succeeded in securing Paul's release, we are not giving up. We will never give up. We remain in close touch with Paul's family, the Whelan family, and my thoughts and prayers are with them today. They have to have such mixed emotions today. And we'll keep negotiating in good faith for Paul's release. I guarantee that. I say that to the family. I guarantee you. And I urge Russia to do the same to ensure that Paul's health and humane treatment are maintained until we are able to bring him home.
Huh. So, you know, this whole idea being spread by the right wing, you're going to see more of this, of course, is that Biden had a choice between the two, and he chose Griner for whatever reason. This isn't a shopping trip. This is a negotiation. You're negotiating with a hostile foreign power. Yes, I said hostile foreign power because right now, the United States and Russia aren't exactly in great terms. And so, yes, you have to negotiate, and you can't just pick and choose. Again, Russia has Whelan up on espionage charges, which is a lot different than what Griner had been, unjustly imprisoned for, which is possessing a small amount of cannabis oil that she uses to treat some of her, I believe, one of her conditions that she has. So that's, kind of a big difference in charges, even again, if they're ridiculous and trumped up. So again, by the way, I said that Biden didn't have a choice. He actually did kind of had a choice, but it was not a good one. It was Griner or no one. So either he take the deal and get Griner, or take no deal and leave Griner there. Which again, I'm pretty sure if the right wing heard about it, they would also complain. It's sort of a no-win situation here. He did the logical thing. I know it doesn't make sense to some right-wingers, but yes, it's logical to take the best option available to you. That's what he did. That said, Whelan's family, they've weighed in on this because, of course, they want the return of Paul. In a statement given to CBS News and other outlets, Whelan's brother, David, spoke out in support of Griner's swap. Oh, would you look at that? Well, there is no greater success than for a wrongful detainee to be freed and for them to go home. The Biden administration made the right decision to bring Ms. Griner home and to make the deal that was possible rather than waiting for one that wasn't going to happen. Whelan noted that President Joe Biden's administration gave the family a heads up that the Griner deal was being made and said that early warning meant that our family has been able to mentally prepare for what is now a public disappointment for us and a catastrophe for Paul. Now, CBS News later reported that the Biden administration had been initially seeking a 2-for-2 swap with Whelan involved, so they had attempted to do so. However, they weren't able to get the deal because, again, you have to negotiate, and Russia actually has to agree to the negotiations. I know it's weird. They don't quite understand that, the right wing. And so what happened is Whelan was basically a non-starter. They were not interested in giving up Paul Whelan at this point. And so what the administration did is said, okay, well, we'll take Whelan off the table for now. Let's at least try to go for Griner. And then we'll come back for Paul when we can, when we find that we have something suitable to trade. That said, David was not, again, he was happy that Griner is able to come home, but of course he is disappointed naturally. And here's what he said. How do you continue to survive day after day when you know that your government has failed twice to free you from a foreign prison? I can't imagine he retains any hope that a government will negotiate his freedom at this point. Look, I understand that, kind of the way that he's feeling. I get it. It actually sucks for the Whalen family. And of course, it's good to know that he has not been forgotten. And so, but he's still not free. He is still sitting in a Russian prison, and that sucks. I still do think, however, and I know there's like a lot of naysayers, but I do think Biden will try to keep this promise because there's literally no reason not to. Yeah, I think he's going to try. I just think he's going to try. There's no reason not to. But as I said before, when it comes to the right wing, what they're doing is, for one, invoking Whalen's name in order to score cheap political points. And that is both disgusting and entirely expected.